career in the entertainment industry has enabled me to work with a diverse range of talent. Through my years of experience, I've recognized two essential aspects. Industry professionals, whether famous stars or behind-the-scenes staff, have fascinating stories to tell. Secondly, audiences are eager to listen to these stories, which offer a glimpse into their lives and the evolution of their life stories. This podcast aims to share these narratives, providing information on how they evolved into their chosen career. We will delve into their journey to stardom, discuss their struggles and successes, and hear from people who helped them achieve their goals. Get ready for intriguing behind-the-scenes stories and insights into the fascinating world of entertainment. Hi, I'm Tony Mantor. Welcome to Almost Live Nashville. If you haven't already, take a quick second to tap the follow button. It really helps the show reach more people who love music and entertainment. Thanks for being here. Joining us today is Grammy-nominated composer, musician, and visionary immersive artist James Hood, who's redefining how we experience sound and storytelling. Through groundbreaking productions like Mesmerica and Astronomica, he's taken audiences beyond just listening into feeling, seeing, and truly experiencing music on a whole new level. He has such a great story to tell. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I just got back from Europe yesterday.
Before we dive into everything you've done, let's take a moment to catch up on what you're working on right now.
Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing the music for the next show. What everyone is experiencing is the new show, Astronomica, which, of course, I finished about 6 months ago. But that's the thing I really am excited about right now, is it's starting to play all over the country. And it's just an interesting show, I think.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. So, tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, we all know what a planetarium is. Planetarium in a way is a Wi-Fi with people. Is VR with people. So you can experience something that's all around you. It's part of what we call a sort of new wave of immersive entertainment or experiential entertainment. Fact is, in a planetarium, the music is surrounding you and the visuals are all 360. So you can't notice everything. And what that does is it sort of throws you into some kind of a benign passive trance where you just let everything roll onto you. It's very relaxing. It's a very good way to sort of lose track of time. The music's very rich and emotional and melodic and dynamic. And the visuals are just, every 2 years, the resolutions are getting more and more sharp, so really can't tell the difference between real life and what's on the screens now.
Yes, it's amazing how technology has improved so vastly. Now, tell us a little bit more about how your shows are going in the planetariums.
Well, planetariums, there are about 300 viable planetariums for us to play in. At the moment, we've played in about 100. At the holiday season, I think we were up to about 90. But now we're down a little bit, but, 50, 60 every weekend. And that's all over the country. We play in every state. It's just a beautiful thing. It's like, you can bring your children as long as they're older than 6.
Yeah, that's great. That must mean that you must get a wide variety of ages.
I get little films from all over the country of the ushers who greet people to the show. And everyone knows in a planetarium, you need to get there early to get a good seat. So an hour before the show, there's a line all the way around the block. They just film the line and it's literally like what my dad used to call the rich tapestry of human life. Every different type of person. Anyone with an imagination and a pair of eyes and an inquisitive soul is going to love the show.
I understand that this is a series. How has the audience's feedback been?
Astronomica is the third show of this series. We started with Mesmerica, sold over 1.5 million tickets of a combination of these 3 shows now. You could argue we're about the only part of the entertainment industry that's actually thriving at the moment because people want something that they haven't experienced before and that's really, really exciting. So we're bringing back good quality sound. It's like you're surrounded with speakers and we endeavor to give you the best possible audio. I feel that that's got slightly neglected now. Not just loudness, it's got to be rich and beautiful, delicious sounding music. So that's really my department. And then I have a coterie of artists from all over the world who provide what we call full dome art.
Yeah, let's dig into the music a little bit. Now, you've been with the Pretenders and played with so many various people. How did that music journey shape and prepare you for the kind of work that you are doing now, especially with these immersive projects?
Well, I think an enormous amount. I think drummers make good arrangers because they have to understand about temperature and dynamics,
Yes, right.
basically the Pretenders was the last band I ever played in as a drummer. It was a pretty good way to hang up my boots there. But what really happened was that Bob Clearmountain came to London as a favor, great friend of Chrissy Hine. He agreed to mix a single we were doing for some kind of movie. And it was a copy of the Burt Bacharach song, Windows of the World. We went down to see him and had a cup of coffee. And then the rest of the band all got up to leave. And I ended up staying there for 24 hours. And that was the day that I decided I wanted to switch, go into a different type of music. I wanted to produce and make the whole music, not just be the drummer at the back, you know.
You've worked with some incredible artists, the Pretenders, King Creole and the Coconuts, Jeff Beck, just to name a few. Each one brings a completely different style and ways of creating music. How did each one of these experiences help you evolve, not only as a producer, but in what you're doing today?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm very interested in genre bending. Like, I like making music that people can't absolutely define what it is. It feels a little bit like free jazz, but then it's still got a little bit sort of electronica. And then I feel that we've all heard everything now. And what's interesting in music is to pair instruments and styles that you wouldn't perhaps naturally hear together, which can possibly create a reaction in the listener. I think we're very sophisticated. We all know different types of music. I don't know anybody who only likes one type of music. So what I try and do in the show is never let you quite settle into thinking, okay, so this is definitely now, you know, whatever. And I will slightly liken it to people acting in front of scenery that's constantly being changed. Because essentially, if you have a melody and a tempo and in a key, you can have that melody played by an infinite amount of different instruments. So if you take a great melody, and I always aspire to write them, then it can be played by a Japanese instrument, it can be played by a guitar, it can be played by strings. And there's something interesting in that because you can almost have the same piece of music that's gradually exploring different areas where it could almost never quite goes into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
What I think that does is it creates reaction.
Yeah.
That's what I think I like to do is I want to use the way that all the things we've learned about how, you know, we know that certain chord changes, certain keys are emotional. We all know that the minor key is more emotional. And now going into orchestral music is I want to utilize the hundreds of years of how to get big feelings out of people, you know, so you want to stand on the table and roar your support and your appreciation that how music can really make you feel big feelings.
Let's roll it back a little bit in time. If you would, tell us, what brought you into the music scene? Then after playing and performing out there, it wasn't just a hobby, it was your path in life.
I was the third of three brothers, and my two older brothers were like my dad, quiet and quite businesslike. And then I came out and I was very creative, you know what I mean? It's like, so my mother, God bless her, she had a brother who left the army to become a professional trumpeter.
Okay.
Despite the fact that he ended up being extremely successful, his father never spoke to him again. And so what happened is I think my mother was quite a good singer. My father played music in the house all the time. And of course, I was growing up in the early 60s. So the Beatles and all of that, it was in the water. And I never, ever thought of doing anything else. I was in London the other day and I pointed out to my son that that's the only other job I ever had was I was a waiter in the summer of 1980 at Olympia, which used to put on Rod Stewart concerts, but also sort of car shows and yacht shows. But apart from that, I always wanted to be a drummer. And from about the age of 9, practice was pretty good. First band at the age of 12. Then ran away with a circus, really, like I flunked out sort of high school because I was in a band with people a couple of years older than me and they were going to go on tour and I couldn't miss that. And that was the moment where I told my father and my mother intervened and said, call back in an hour. And then he called back and my father was compliant and said, well, you got to do what you got to do. And luckily, I've never really ever had been so lucky. You know, I could not do what I do without the computer because even though I'm a drummer and I understand rhythm, I can't play any other instrument, but I can hear it in my mind, you know. So the computer has been an amazing tool for me to be able to make the music that I can imagine.
Yeah, that's amazing that you bring up the computers. Like you, I remember the days of 2-inch tape and analog. We didn't have the computers to do all this, and now we've got all these tools that can. Some of the things that will kind of make me smile at different times when I see it being used, the people using all these plugins now are merely duplicating the sounds that we used when we was doing it all in pure analog.
They're trying to get that same thing. In fact, that's a very selling point. I mean, what's amazing about it, I might be working on 15 different bits of music and I can attend to each one with fresh ears. Whereas in the old days, I had an analog mixing desk in my house in London before I moved to America. And until you finished the mix, you couldn't strip the desk.
Right.
Because there was no recall. I didn't have any recall. So you used to have to make a little marks with a white chinograph if you had some other session coming in.
Yeah.
And you never came back the same.
That's right.
The ease of use, but of course it means too easy to make mediocre music now. And music that just sounds rote, the whole AI thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so heartfelt in what I put into the music. It's supposed to be the very kind of summit of what music can do for you in the day, whether you're getting ready to go to work or driving on a road trip. Music is just so important to us. And now I have this amazing opportunity where my whole career, I was lucky if it got played in a noisy kitchen with everyone sort of talking drunkenly over it, played on a wonky system with no bass. Now people listen to it in absolute silence. So the music's coming, so you can do a lot more with dynamics, and it gives you a lot more freedom to sort of build things and to do subtle things that are very beautiful. You can tune your ears in about 3 minutes to pick up on such subtleties, and it doesn't take long, So it's just a wonderful opportunity, especially the surround. And music's never felt better.
Yeah, that's great because you can take and use your music to create layers like a guitar here, a violin there, all blending so seamlessly that you're not focused on just one sound. You're taking in the whole experience. Yet at the same time, it gives the listener space to kind of lean into whatever they connect with the most.
Yeah, I'm really interested in trying to evoke inner worldly quality where the music feels like it's rich and deep in a way that you can ascribe your own meaning to it. That's essentially sort of what I do is that back in the day, I was just trying to amuse myself. And then an amazing thing happened, which is that people started listening to me on earbuds, which I'm a huge fan of earbuds. It's like people are rude about them, but I don't care any kind of headphones. You're in the music. Then you can start doing much more subtle things. It's like a sort of soft place to rest. I'm not going to do anything scary, but I'm going to take you on a journey, which will be deep, but it won't be dark. I'm never scary, but I am interested in the depths of our awareness and our attention and how quiet we can be or how focused we can be or how fascinated we can be with a feeling that the music's giving you.
You've had the success of working with some well-known household name artists. How have you been able to stay grounded, to keep your passion for music, have your personal time, and of course, all the other things that go along with that?
Wow. Well, life just carries on. I'm a parent. Back in the day, they're grown up now, but I was lucky if I could get 2 hours of wafting about in my own ideas. Now, with the encouragement I've had from the success, it's incredible that I know that people are going to hear it now. When the iPod was created, that was the day the music industry changed from being something that was beneficial to musicians to something which was essentially the opposite, where suddenly record labels not only didn't want to give you any money to make a record, they essentially wanted you to pay for it, and then they wanted to own it. Suddenly became a very, very different thing. So in a way, I feel lucky that I've found an area where I can find an audience that kind of bypasses the music industry in a way. Because although I'm on Spotify, like this experience that when people come to see the show, they're really hearing it like I made it. And that's incredibly nice. That's not usual, and now I think I'm really good at creating big feelings. I don't want to be specific because I've had the same piece of music played at a wedding and a funeral. And so I've learned that you cannot specify what music people will find sad and what music people find joyful. But my music will always be inner worldly. It's never going to be brash, never going to be tacky. But it's always going to be reaching to the subtler parts of our awareness, because I think we're deeper than we give ourselves credit for.
When you step back and look at your journey, everything you've created, everything you've contributed to, what do you hope that people may take away from everything that you've done working in this music business?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, because it's so unlikely. If you think about people who lived 100 years ago and how few people we actually, not just in our family, that's ridiculous. None of us can remember barely our great-grandparents, and what they did. But genius doesn't visit that many people. And I'm not saying it's visited me, but what I would love is to leave a body of work that stood the test of time and spoke to someone in 100 years in the same way that Nick Drake or someone like that in his lifetime, ironically, because, he was completely unknown when he died. I don't know. I think it's time for me to give back. And how I stay grounded is that, well, as I say, I've been a parent. I lost my studio a year ago to the LA fire. So that was, I haven't really still got a studio, like I'm working out of other people's studios. But I've also had the most creative, most extraordinary sort of year. I'm very, very lucky to have had the support I've had. I come from Altadena in LA. I've lived there for 15 years, and that place pretty much got wiped out. So it's not hard to stay grounded. But I tell you, man, I've just got a bit between my teeth. Every day, I just want to produce and manifest, because I think that I make some music that I didn't know how much it was needed, because I think that I use all kinds of art forms, of all kinds of styles of music. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to speak to that ineffable in all of us, the transcendent in all of us, so that we lose track of time, whether it's watching puppies playing or resting our eyes on the water. It's like when we're quiet, we're just being, that lovely expression, we're human beings, not human doings. It's like, I'm really interested in what we do when we don't do anything, because I call it constructive escapism. I don't think it's really valued by society because it doesn't make money. But I think that AI is going to wheel in a hell of a lot of us. We're going to have a lot of time to stare out the window and wonder about the meaning of life, and I think that's really good. I think that's really good. I think that's what we should be thinking about. A little bit more being and a little less doing.
Having worked with so many different artists, do you feel like each one left a mark on you? And those influences have come together to help you with the music that you see yourself creating today?
I think it was Joe Walsh of the Eagles who said, when you're living your life, it just looks like a whole series of happenstance, crazy occurrences, sometimes coincidences and stuff like that. But when you get to, later in life, you can see that everything led to something. And even the thing that was a disaster actually turned out to be the best thing that could have happened. And like everyone I've worked with, dear friends of mine, like Chrissy Hind, I'm still working with her. Jeff Beck, that was extraordinary, because I had a track that ended up on the first Mood Swings album. The track was called Skin Thieves, and he wanted to play a solo on it. And what that did to me, he came and played about 3 or 4 solos and then just left in his Corvette. And I had to comp together the sort of ultimate solo. And now it's one of the things I most love doing. I love solos, whether it's a trumpet solo or a guitar solo, whether it's Comfortably Numb or some kind of amazing kind of just soaring kind of free improvisation. I love that, because it took me about a month to do it justice. So I learned a lot about phrasing and content and repetition and all these things that I haven't really been taught.
For younger musicians coming up through the ranks, you know how it is when you're young, moving 100 miles an hour. What advice would you give them to help them navigate through their journey?
Well, I don't think it matters how good you are. I don't think that how good you can play an instrument in no way denotes how good you can make music. I think now with modern technology, I think the most important thing is to be authentic. Someone told me once, if you lose your instinct, you've got nothing. It's like, if you're the only person who in the world that wants to do something that sounds like sort of underwater country and western, then you should do it, because it's all been done, so that we're all just like shifting it and reconfiguring things. What I think I try and do with the younger musicians, I'm really interested in their ideas, because it's what we used to call the cruel hand of the producer. And it used to be that a young band used to get signed, but it was basically on the basis that, on the condition that they had to do what the old middle-aged producer wanted. Don't touch the equipment. I'm working with one girl, and what's really extraordinary about her is that she does everything. She sings, she writes it, she programs it, she does all the editing, she does all the drums, she mixes it, she edits it. And because she does it all herself, it makes it really unique. It doesn't sound like anybody else you've ever heard. And I think that there's a lesson in there. I've found that some of the most talented musicians are the worst at being able to, they wouldn't know a melody or a catchy tune if it came and hit them in the face. It's like they're too locked into their mind. And I can't play any instruments, but I can simulate almost anything except electric guitar. And there I have an amazing electric guitar player who lives in New Orleans called James Harrah, who's just wonderful.
You've been at this for a long time, from your early days with the Pretenders to working with so many different artists. For the lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word amazed. With everything you've experienced from those early days to where you are now, do you ever pause and use that word, wow, this has been a truly amazing journey?
Yeah, well, it's an amazing journey, but I was pretty quiet for a while. I feel I've just got better and better. I mean, there's that story about the 94-year-old cellist who says, I think I'm just getting the hang of it. And I feel I'm better than I was 5 years ago. I mean, I wasn't even working in surround 5 years ago. So the age where my parents used to start thinking about winding down, I'm just getting started. There's nothing more exciting than an audience. It's like any musician, if they say, well, we promise you that we'll listen, there'll be at least 20 people there. You won't see any musician who will turn up that opportunity. So now that I've got people's attention, there's so much that I want to do to really affect the culture and to comfort and inspire.
You've got a lot happening right now. So looking ahead, what's next for you? What can the audiences expect to see from you in the future?
Well, now, as well as planetariums, we're in IMAXs. We call it our 5D show, which is our own proprietary 3D technology, but it throws out way further than the usual 3D, and it's incredibly, really fun. I mean, it's just a roller coaster for the eyes. Mesmerica, we've already done that. Now we're doing Astronomica, which will come out in the summer. And then at the same time, we're doing 2 new shows that'll come out next year. One is the follow-up, the 4th of my shows. And then the next one is like a sort of secret one that's going to be, in a way, I think, to be our best show.
Now, once the audiences have had an opportunity to go to your show, they've sat there, watched it, and now they're leaving. What do you think would be the one word they would use to describe the experience they felt from seeing your show?
Well, I want them to feel that what I'm doing is trying to give them an experience. So if they come out and say, I feel just so serene and like I'm inspired and I can really see now where I'm blocked in life, where I can see now that now I need to, could be anything because I don't know these people. But what I'm doing, sometimes I characterize it, I'm planting the seeds, but they bring it to life. There's nothing in my shows that gets in the way of your own experience of yourself. And that's where it's slightly different to going to just see a normal movie, is you are actually the star of the show because it's your awareness, it's your perception, it's how you make sense of it that makes the meaning.
Yeah, that's great. Now, how do people find you?
I mean, I would encourage anyone who wants to just check it out. Obviously, Spotify, James Hood, but YouTube, there's all sorts of stuff on YouTube that can show you some of the visuals in the show, and also, yes, the latest, Astronomica.
Yeah, that's great to know, and I am sure they will be checking it out. Well, this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the show. This has been a Tony Mantor production. For more information, contact media@plateaumusic.com.